Hello and welcome to episode 21 of our Timberborn 1.0 experimental playthrough with the Folktales faction, cycle 38, day 15. We have a drought coming up in 2 days. Last episode we started construction of the Earth 3 cultivator. I'd like to have more than one of these on the map, but of course, as you know, that will take time. There's other stuff we have to do as well, and I did ask you guys in the previous episode your thoughts on using bots in this playthrough. And I received over 35 comments in favor of the bots and a fraction of that either against or ambivalent on them. So we will be adding some bots, but I'll compromise and I will hide them. I will hide the machinery and all that stuff underground, make like a bot cave kind of thing. So they're going to be working on this, obviously, probably for a decent portion of today's episode. And we'll have plenty of other things to take care of. But beyond that, I did want to talk just briefly about what is going to be the remainder of this series. Because there's not really a ton left to do, per se, right? And this is episode 21, like I said at the start of the video, and we're kind of near a natural endpoint. But I did say I wanted to have basically the entire map green or green enough, and have some other outposts in various places. So I figured one of the things we could do is, if this ends up not being enough battery power, we could expand this. We could slightly modify terrain to hide it. We could put some more windmills over here. We could do a bunch of different things, but we're going to have to wait and see and go from there. So I was thinking in terms of, making bots work in a way where we could hide everything. I thought it would be kind of fun to identify an area of the map that we haven't used that we could also kind of transform into a bot den. So this side of the map we haven't really done anything with. And we have this big open area here, kind of like a pit, that may be, depending on how we wanted to do things, we could do some sort of buried bot farm, or we could build something here and then put something on top of it to hide it. Or we could take advantage of some of these tunnels that are kind of like pass-throughs and things and maybe build with those. But I think it's probably going to be easiest just to pick a spot, like say this depression right here, and just build down there and then cover it up so you can't see it from the top. And I think that would be a pretty fun idea. So, assuming we do that over here, there is no power anywhere close except right over here. And we have been through this, and boy have we, trying to get all this power and everything hooked up. So what is probably going to need to happen, that this is going to have to get connected all the way down here on level 0, which we can pretty easily do just by extending past here and then coming all the way over there. And that is a gargantuan task. It is going to take a very long time to get all of that set up, but in service of our eventual goal, I do think that is still the right thing to do. Recognizing that, if I remember exactly where I was going. How do I get lost in this all the time? Here it is. I need to deprioritize this so we have a chance at all of getting anything else done, because they will empty our resources, they'll take all of the labor, and they'll just go on this non-stop unless I tell them, hey, cool it, we don't need that right now. So, in order to start the process, we do need to be able to get over here. We don't currently have a very good path system set up in that regard. So I think what's going to be easiest is for us to get overland transport using zip lines. I do still have to have, the beavers actually come up here to make that happen. But that's not going to be nearly as hard, especially considering we have this path already right here that we could, without too much weeping and gnashing of teeth, get something set up. So, that is what I will do. I will get this going here. We do, of course, have to have some sort of way of getting up to this height. Not necessarily the easiest thing ever, but something that we do need to take care of. So I will just do that right quick. Simple staircase. Just like so. Get this connected. That L-shaped path drawing is super convenient. Because I know I've never said anything about that before, not even once. All jokes aside. This won't take me too much longer just to get this situated. We'll come down over here. And then we will, of course, have to bridge this gap eventually, but to get us in range of getting anything connected here, I will have to come up this side. And I believe... Okay, this does take a little bit of getting used to. I should be able to get over here, and now we have to check and see with zipline beams, or pylons or whatever, how close I'm going to have to be. Okay, that is a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be. That is unfortunate. So, well, you know, it's not the end of the world. It's just going to make things a tiny bit harder. So, we do have access kind of already over here. I'll just give them a very simple way across here with a staircase. And then I guess it's probably easier for me to just put a simple suspension bridge here. Get that set up. We know they can build that. We can go ahead and connect that here. And then I originally thought I was going to be able to have a zipline station much closer than that, but I don't think that is going to be a viable option anymore, considering that this is now causing problems. I don't know if that's a height thing because of the trees, maybe? No, it doesn't seem to be a height thing. I think it's just overall distance thing. Maybe it is a height thing. Yeah, because that works there. That doesn't work there. Well, that's going to be probably about as good as I can get going to that spot, and then from here, getting this hooked up to, I suppose, right about here is going to be as good as I can get. And there we go, 30 meters. So, they're not going to be able to build this unless I give them a path downward, which we already know is going to have to be set up kind of like that. Just build that onto there. And these guys have to be able to get over here. I think easiest way to accomplish this is going to be just getting some staircases here and here. And then getting access with one of these large bridges. Boy, oh boy. Well, that will work. They'll have a whole lot of materials they have to bring all over everywhere, and you know how that goes. So, assuming that we're going to just have a single set of bot factories that will support 2 assemblers, and one assembler can make a bot every 36 hours, which means every 18 hours we will need to have 1 chassis. We'll need to have, or I'm sorry, yeah, every 18 hours, 1 chassis, 4 limbs, and a head. And wouldn't you know it, they have done exactly enough for us to have 1 of each factory. In theory, in practice, it doesn't always work out this way, especially with the limbs, but we should, all else equal, be fine. Not 100% optimized, but close enough with just 3 factories, 1 for each type, and 2 assemblers. And then, of course, we do have to have a refinery to make the actual fuel. And we talked a little bit before about different recipes for fuel, and that's when I had mistakenly thought, oh, well, I can just have an achievement. Beaver Made Wilderness, plant 10,000 trees during a single playthrough. Nice. We are going to try and get some achievements maybe a little bit later next episode. We can't get all of them, obviously, but I just wanted to make sure I talked about that because I know somebody brought that up. But in terms of the recipe for fuel, I almost said food, no. Spatterdock at this point is probably going to be our best bet, just because of how voraciously the beavers will consume potatoes and how much extra spatterdock we are likely to have without doing too many further modifications. So we will have to get a refinery going as well, and we can have that anywhere, but it's probably going to make sense to have a refinery over here because we have to use fuel to actually make bot parts. Alright, so all of that being said, I know it's a long-winded thing, and I'm sure some of you are just more than ready for me to hurry up and get on with it. We'll get there. We will get there. But I do need to give a staircase here for the zip lines, and then probably just put a staircase there so we can get down. This is where we will be building our stuff. And they do, of course, have to make that happen. So I will go ahead and get this in triple speed. We'll get this rolling. Regarding the water seep, people keep saying there's an easy solution to this. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out, and honestly, I just don't have the time to fiddle with it offline if I'm going to have any chance of getting these series wrapped up by the end of the year like I said I was. So feel free to experiment on your own and let me know how it goes. I just can't justify taking video time to do it, and we have so much other stuff we have to get done. That being said, I do still want to relocate the farming here somewhere else, which means we will need to identify other locations for farms. And we do have plenty of space over here that is going to be more or less permanently green. Well, more or less permanently green, like I said. So we can explore that. We have different options. We have ways of getting everything situated as best as possible. I don't know that that's a today thing, but it is definitely an eventually thing. We also have all this space here that is... short of an absolute cataclysm, going to be clean, no matter what. So recognizing that, this is probably going to be dirty until we are able to divert absolutely everything. We're having a drought, not a bad tide, so we don't need to worry about that quite yet. And I need to make sure now, before I do any more time-lapsing, that I actually have this set up correctly. So we need to identify what the coordinates of our power input are going to be. And I don't have my coordinate thing because remember this is a mostly vanilla playthrough. But if we count over, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 blocks between the edge and where I would consider probably the best place to get to. So if we count over from here, remember our power comes up underneath this thing right here. And we can't use the X to count over on this side because the game doesn't like us doing that. It doesn't show it until it's on the very top level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I lost it already. But point is, this is further past 17 if we were just to have this go straight across, and it's going to be the simplest way to do it. So what that will entail is a 2-wide tunnel going all the way down here. And just have this go all the way, and I do mean all the way, over to this area, and then we'll just have to check and see how this is lining up. Again, it has to be at the very bottom because otherwise it's going to get flooded. Should be just a little bit more over here. Yeah, we're just about there. So, to this spot right here, that actually gets us past it a little bit. Want to cut off right about here. The power would be on this side, on this spot right there. And if we had this make a turn here, which I will do, then that will bring us out to, yeah, right above here. That, I think, is going to be the easiest thing for us to do. I just have this be set to a tunnel that's already 4 or 5 deep. So what I know now that I can do is I can blast this square out down 3, which is going to get me to maybe 1 or 2 spots above where the tunnel is going to be. Yeah, so right here, that is going to have to be blasted out. That's 1. Oh, 2. 2 will get us down there. Perfect. So we can kind of build this from both ways now that we know that's what's happening here. And that will be blasted out. This is going to be access. So this probably needs to be a tunnel here and here. This needs to be here and here. This needs to be here and here. And then this needs to be here, which means this can be a single. And then this can be a double to get the same result to start the tunnel. And then that down here is going to get us into this spot. So, all of that just to say, there is some thought behind this. Once everything is situated, it will make a whole lot more sense. And right now, you're seeing that being time-lapsed. So, we'll let the beavers do what they have to do. I don't know how much time I can actually compress into this, because you know how this always goes. But we'll see them zipping by on zip lines, getting everything set up. I will put in storages for different types of materials once the zip line is established, and that should help speed things up significantly. And on the other side of the time-lapse, we'll talk about putting in the actual facilities once the tunnel and all of the power and everything is distributed, and we'll go from there. I'll see you on the other side. So construction on the power tunnel continues. It has taken quite a long time, which is why I jumped back in to talk a little bit more about what we're doing. But as they continue joining the two halves of the tunnel together from either side, we will jump in as needed to modify stuff so everything connects just fine, and make sure that all of the materials are in place so that we can start building all of our bot infrastructure just as soon as this is completed. But it is going to take just a little while longer. See you in a moment. Alright, we're having a bad tide come in, so I do need to end the time-lapse now and do a little bit of preparation, lest we have another tragedy. So, you know the drill. Fluid dump is already on. This is now up. We need to make sure we don't have anybody tempted to make their way down into these caverns. I don't think there's any reason for them to do that to begin with. And I'm 99% sure this cannot flood ever again. Just because of all the improvements that we made. But need to make sure, yep, that is still there. That is there as well. You just can't see it because we have everything coming through here. So this should not flood. Should be absolutely no problems. We've had bad tides before where that wasn't an issue. But I don't want to deal with that again, and I am absolutely certain you don't want to either. In this area over here, where we're going down into our tunnels, these beavers have been walking in all the way from over here. And these tunnels also should not be flooding. But if they do, we're going to have a whole lot of problems. I think it's fine. I don't have any other way to get them down in here, or else I probably would have. But this is, this is a space we have left to get everything hooked up. They almost got there. So, this is not going to fill up with bad water. This path is going to become poisoned, but it is the longer route, so I don't think it's going to even be used. Just in case, I'm going to disconnect this path. They shouldn't want to be coming through here anyway. But we're going to go ahead and get into this bad tide, and I guess I could just have them start work on the rest of this while we're working on getting everything else situated. 8-day bad tide. Alright, well that's going to be fun. I don't think they're going walking through anything. Let's just check and make sure that these tunnels aren't going to be horribly just nasty all the time. No, that's fine. That's fine. I wish I could, do something about this. But we don't have the mods that do the, whatever it's called, the levee power shaft thing. But nobody's going through here, and it's not flooding, so I think we are in okay shape. Same kind of deal over here. It is what it is. This is going to be filled up. It's just, that's what it is. I didn't fill this back in. That's my fault. But it's fine. This will be okay in the long run. But I am very curious to see if they've managed. Nope, they have not. Well, that's fine. We have plenty of other stuff to take care of. You just kind of have to babysit this because it's super far away. Coming back up, I think what is going to make the most sense, power-wise, try to take advantage of how we have this set up here. If you take a look at the bot part factories, they are 2 blocks tall, 3x3, and the Folktales version, if I just build this right here, connects power on the sides on the first level, but not the second level, and on the back on the first and second level, as you can see right there. Of course, they connect top and bottom as well. So what I was thinking of doing was coming in here with the tunnels and blasting out that and that, so I can have 3 of these bot part factories. Come on. One in the middle, one slightly in front of it, one slightly in front of it, and then, of course, this would connect through another building that I would place here, just because this was the easiest place to get that power shaft up. But 3 of those there would then allow me, on the top of that, to either put in bot assemblers if I blast a bit more, which I would have to do from the top of those buildings. Or we could put the bot assemblers somewhere else. They don't have to go on top. That's just what we've normally done in most of the other playthroughs. So I think it's probably going to be fine to just kind of stick them somewhere else, but I would have to have stuff connecting power to those. So we'll see what happens as this just kind of organically grows here. Same kind of deal that we've more or less always done. So let's put that there. I know this doesn't connect right now. It's not going to be a big deal. It will once everything is connected properly. This is just here so they can get down into the tunnels. So, putting this, and this here, you can see they're all connected. I'll just have to make sure these are selected and put the limbs in the middle. Doesn't really matter where. And then everything should be a-okay for these to get started going. But I'm not going to have them connected to the path until everything's ready to go. Because I don't want the beavers getting injured before it's absolutely necessary. And, you know, I kind of do like this, the way this is set up like this. I think it looks kind of nice. I also think it would be smart of us to have some storage for the bot parts directly adjacent or on top of a bunch of this stuff. So if I can figure out a way for this to be easy to stick up on top here, I think that might be the way to go. I know I can put a warehouse here, I can put a warehouse here, then I have a little bit of space in the middle here if I chose to get this out. Maybe instead of putting the assemblers on top, the storage might be kind of a fun idea. But we have to be able to get up there, right? That's always the issue. So for that to be a viable thing, I have to be able to do something like this. And that is going to require that we have some sort of way to get up to this middle section. And I know we're going to hide this, so it probably doesn't really matter. But we might as well take just a little bit of time to make it look slightly less terrible. I think, at least. So if I were to do that, I blast this out, and then I have the third storage here. We'll just have one storage for each body part, so to speak. And then we'll move on from there. But let's check and see how we're doing in the tunnel. Getting closer. We're getting quite close. That's the last of the path I'm probably going to have to put in. We'll keep on with that. And everything else is looking pretty good. No issues here. No flooding. No nonsense. So, that is a very good scenario. Still making more than we're demanding on power, so these guys, I don't think I've had a single test so far as going all the way down, but that's fine. Primary objective right now is to get this all set up. So in terms of covering this up, I think it would make sense just to try and go flat across the top with a little bit of a gap for the zip line and everything. Might end up relocating this at some point. This is just so this could get built and we don't have any major issues. So getting into here, I could, depending on how we wanted to do this, you know what? Let's think multidimensionally here. Let's flip this on the way up, and then that means this will connect here. And then from there I can put in this staircase right here, which is going to make the pathing just a little bit circuitous. But I think that is a pretty interesting, neat, fun design. Not like it's really going to matter that much anyway, but that should be at least something we can appreciate there. Now I have the the power shaft coming up here. Easiest thing to do, and since we're not really going to be looking at it, I think that's probably what we're going to do, is going to be just to connect that like so. And then wherever I decide to put my assemblers, they can maybe go off to the side here. I was thinking maybe right like this would be cool. I obviously can't do that because that's where the power shaft's going to have to go in, but I did that there, and then if I did this here, I could pretty easily do that. And then this would, of course, adapt to go into that. So let's plan for that. Just to have that come out like so, and then have this come out like so. This will get removed, blasted out. This is more or less just here so we can have the tunnels complete, and then I'll redesign the rest of the distribution later. Okay. Looking all right. I know I don't have to have the paths there technically, but I think it makes it just a little bit easier. Just a touch. So that is in place. We'll go ahead and put this bot assembler in. Just right like here. Get that hooked up. We don't have storages for this yet. That's for chassis, so guess what? That gets to be chassis. This one is going to be for limbs, and this one is going to be for heads. That should work out quite nicely. Now, the recipes to make this stuff, you'll notice all of them require planks, 2 of them require gears, 2 of them require metal, and we do, of course, have the biofuel. So, every 18 hours, we need 5 planks. We need 9, remember, because we have to make 4. So 9 planks, and then 10 planks. So every 18 hours, we need 10 planks. Our current production may or may not be able to support that, depending on what other kind of construction we're doing and whatever is paused. We'll check on that a little bit. In terms of gears, we have to have 15 gears every 18 hours. We have to have 2 metal every 18 hours. I know the metal's not going to be a problem. The 15 gears every 18 hours, just for sake of simplicity, 1 gear per hour, because there's other needs for it. I'm pretty sure we're already making 1 gear per hour. We'll check. And then the biofuel is not going to be an issue. That's going to be a complete non-issue. All right, so this is ready to go. Let's get this medium warehouse in place and get that set to limbs. And if I scroll down here and we see that the tunnels are connected, which they are, then I can get rid of the support structures. I will get this connected just so that's complete. And this now, because we're not going to need this, or this. That's just going to be on the ground. They can pick it up if they want. If they don't, then, well, that's fine too. Let's get this set up here. I need that to be demolished. And I'm going to go ahead and get this connected because, well, they need to be able to utilize all of these things. Once the tunnel's constructed, I can take this out, fill this back in, and I don't think it's going to be an issue. So, single final piece. I'm not going to, you know, make a big deal out of collecting all of these platforms, but I will do some. I just have to be very careful not to delete these power shafts, and that is a challenge. But it can be done. You just have to be intentional with how you place things. Yeah, see, that's going to be fine. Normally I wouldn't really care, except we're very low on planks and we're about to need a lot of them. So they can come and get these if they so choose. I know there's a little bit more over here, and that should cover just about all of it. In fact, it looks like it is, with the exception of the very end here. Again, being careful not to delete anything that is of actual importance. Yeah, so once this starts turning here, we'll know everything is A-OK. This is still waiting on somebody to come finish. That's fine. I admittedly did think it was going to be just a tiny bit faster than this. Oh, it's because I prioritized all this rubble. Well, they needed to pick it up anyway, so that's fine. See, yeah, now that disintegration thing's starting to come up here. Well, all we can do is just let them do what they're going to do. We already know this is going to get connected. I don't really need to babysit everything. Yeah, this is holding together pretty well. We've got a nice amount of maple syrup coming in, but it's still... Wait a minute. You know what I never did? I never replaced this with the Tapper Shack. Well, no better time than the present. Let's just make sure there's nowhere else we can plant that we actually want to. So I will, lacking any other ideas, I will plant all of these as maple trees. And then, yeah, we're starting to get these coming in here. I do need to swap this out. I'm glad I checked, because I absolutely would have forgotten. Now, this is connected, which is fantastic news. This is just waiting on this one bit here. So now, knowing that this is connected, I'm going to leave the bottom part of the staircase in place. But I'm going to remove these stairs on this side, and instead I'm going to put in these 2 terrain blocks. We can always open this back up if we want to later, but I don't think it's going to be an issue, especially since we have the zipline station. B for boom. And then this assembler can go there. We'll get that connected with our roundy-roo pathing. And honestly, I don't hate it. I think this is kind of fun. A little whimsical. That never hurt anybody. So what we can do to kind of straighten this out, we can take these out. And in these little spaces, I know we're having bots in here right now, but it would not be a bad idea for us to put some other things in. I don't know if I should go for decorations or well-being type stuff, but I know for a fact it is not going to be a bad idea to have a tank for fuel and a tank for water over here. Actually, let's do fuel and catalyst. That seems like more of a smart move. So what else am I going to get myself into here? This is connected. This is connected. I was going to slightly move that around. I can move one more over depending on where I want to put my refineries. We also still need to have storage for the raw materials that are needed for these things. And I don't want to do math on the size of these things because they're going to keep filling it up anyway. But, like we said before, just to recap, 15 gears every 18 hours, and we need 10 of the planks every 15 hours. That's easily doable with the medium-sized storage facilities. The biofuel is going to be made on site anyway. So all we're going to need is storage for planks, storage for gears, storage for metal. And that's going to get us through everything. The gears go in a medium warehouse, and the metal and the planks can go in a pile. So, knowing that, medium warehouse is a 2x3 building. What I could do, depending on how fancy we want to get with our stuff here, I could have this go up one more level and then do something kind of crazy here, but that seems like it would be a little more complicated than it's worth. So instead, if I keep this space here, we also have to make sure we have a spot for the refinery, which is a 2x3 building. I can't put two of those in there. I could, if I'm going to have one for fuel, one for catalyst, I could just do one of these kind of things up in this exact spot here, and then we could have that path go down. I don't think that's a bad idea. So if I just kind of duplicate this here, what I could do is take care of that. And then this bit here, I know we can access. Remember, this is underground, so the whole terraforming bit is not going to be an issue. We're not going to look at it. Just want to make sure stuff looks as decent as it can. In my opinion, at least. If I relocate the stairs to be here, and then I blast this out, and this stays coming out as well, what that would allow me to do, actually not this one, it would be this spot right here. Let's beaver boom this. Put those stairs in there. As soon as one of these staircases goes in, this can go away. Yeah, so what I was thinking of doing here. In fact, I don't even have to put this guy there, because now what that gives me is a 5-wide space that I could do a couple of things with. Depending on how we want to do this, I could put some regular tanks in, one here, which would mean I don't need this. I don't know, I'm just kind of trying to think out loud here. I do need to make sure that I have some sort of storage available for a bunch of other things. I could put an underground pile if I wanted to have 1,000 storage for something. I don't really think that is going to be the correct move here. But let's see. Boom. Someone almost got exploded there. Bring that around. This also is probably going to need to go. This is going to be set to, I think I said Spatterdock, yeah? Okay. So we have beavers technically working in here, making the bot parts at a very, very slow rate. Well, one, because we don't have biofuel at all. Waiting on all this other stuff to get brought in for me to decide what in the world I'm doing for supplies. Can they even reach this? They can't. Why can they not? Oh, that's right, because I had them coming across here and I disconnected it. Well, there's no more bad water, so that can come in through here. I also need to reset this. So let's open that down to 0.75. And this is empty white. Oh, that's the path. Duh. Should have remembered that. Oh, by the way, the thing's coming along. It's halfway there. I forgot to check in on that. Oh. For shame. For shame. B for boom. So, in the space here, we can, if we want to, put a warehouse here and a warehouse here. We don't need 2 warehouses, but the pile is not going to, unfortunately, fit correctly otherwise, depending on how we want to, you know, stick stuff in here. So if I did a pile here, or a warehouse here, this would be an easy place to put in gears. And then we could also put in punch cards, remember, because we're going to have those. That is probably one of the better ways to utilize this space. And then going off of that, depending on how I want to do things here, I could do one of these numbers where we now have a 3 by something space here. If I get rid of these tanks, which I think I will, apologies to those of you who liked that setup. I'm struggling to figure out what would actually work there. I think it's probably going to be easiest if I just do this. And by this, I mean putting in a pile here and a pile here. Remember, we have to have the paths actually connect. I don't have ladders. So if I did something like this, and I skipped this middle piece so it doesn't have the ugly paths of doom, what this would then allow us to do is put in planks and put in metal blocks, and then we have the gears, and so all of this is relatively easily accessible. And then I have a staircase here that would then feed directly into that, and they can go around or they can go up to get to whatever. So, B for boom. Get this refinery. I will flip it so it looks just a tiny bit nicer. That can go here, even though I don't technically need to have it back. And then I've got this extra space here. I got this space here. This is set for catalyst. And then, as we continue working on this, I can have either larger tanks. I think it's probably going to be a good idea to have the full-size 1200 capacity tanks, which is going to mean that this zipline station needs to be relocated. Easiest way, I think, to accomplish that is to move this back to this spot right here. Center it, and also, most importantly, get it out of the hole entirely before I fill everything up. If that is going to be the case, then this staircase could go here, this gets reconnected, and then I can more gradually come down this slope while also having my big tanks here, and then I can have somewhere, if I can figure out exactly where it makes the most sense, to put in the ingredients to make this, which is spatterdock and water. And then the catalyst recipe is not showing, but it is maple syrup and extract. So there's going to have to be a couple more tanks, depending on how you want to do it. I know I can't put in these overhangs on top like this, so that is right out of the question. But we're going to open up a lot of opportunities once I move this zipline station around. We'll have to wait and see how fast they can get that taken care of. But I do think... Oh, I built that off the wrong way. I built that in the wrong spot. For shame. Well, let's move it over, because you know that is going to bug me until the day I'm dead if I don't take care of that. Yeah, so what's going to have to happen here is I'm going to time-lapse this, because this is just, it's going to take me some time to figure out exactly where everything needs to go, and I don't need to fumble through trying to explain it. So I will see you in just a moment once that is all taken care of, ready to go, and hopefully smoothly producing some bots for us. Alright folks, I'm not perfectly happy with it, but it is quote-unquote complete, and it is more or less symmetrical. We got all of our stuff here to actually make the bot parts, we got the assemblers, we actually have 3 bots as it is right now, which I will first put in our bot part factories so they can duplicate themselves. And we have all of the supplies for each type of fuel. We have the biofuel with the spatterdock and the water, and then the biofuel goes here. We have the catalyst with the extract maple syrup once we have enough of it, and then of course the catalyst goes there. We've already talked about what goes underneath. I'm pretty happy with this. Obviously not perfect, like I said, but I should be able to cover this up. I'm not exactly sure how yet, but that'll be our buried bot bonanza area, or whatever you want to call it. Now, since we've planted all of these, I can take this out and get a tapper's shack put in place. They should be able to reach all of these. I don't think it's going to be a problem. And that should, hopefully, be a pretty good start. Now, we have a zipline station here that does connect, technically, all the way through here. And this, unfortunately, can't have another connection anywhere else, so it is a little bit of a path to get things over here. But this area does not have a tank for the maple syrup. And I don't really have a great place for that to go. So, barring any sort of other idea at the moment, I'm just going to put that right here, set that to supply. I know we do have one all the way over here. What a terrible place for this. But that obviously is not going to be fantastic. Chestnuts still haven't quite caught up yet, because this probably isn't enough chestnuts to begin with. I guess I could plant some chestnuts here. I did say I wanted to redo the farm stuff. I'm still not sure what I want to do with that. But I feel like for this episode, this is plenty of accomplishment we can be pretty proud of. And I just need to figure out how to get the top on top of this. So we'll see what happens. I kind of want to avoid just putting platforms everywhere and then just building straight across, but I also don't really want to spend a ton of time on this, so I won't. We will check and see if there's anything else we can take care of today. Someone said I could pause the observatory, get a couple of beaver jobs back, because we have almost 200,000 science. So we'll do that. Pause the observatory. And they still haven't finished this, which obviously because I've, deprioritized it. Well, that's fine. We're 53% of the way there. They've gotten most of the materials in place. And we're going to let these guys do what they're going to do. We're not going to wait for this episode to get that finished. But I do have a fourth bot ready to go. So in the interest of preserving beavers and not having 16 entries at a time, I'm going to unlock the assemblers for bots. And I'm just going to let them fill those next 3 jobs. This one can do it all by itself. And that will be that. So I'm very interested to know your thoughts about this. If you think this is a cool design. I know some of you don't like the idea of doing bots, but the majority of the people I asked said, yes, go ahead and do it. So I figured that was worth taking care of. In terms of greening the rest of the map up, I do have some ideas. I don't know that there's so many more rivers that we could dam up. But I did say that I wanted to put in a sluice here to regulate the water depth in this area. I don't think that would be a terrible idea, but I forgot to do it during the drought, and if I do it now, it's going to flood everything. So maybe we wait and do that, possibly next episode. That would get most of this greened up. We could continue to have some tunnels. I did see somebody say they wanted to have this green inside. In terms of making that possible, it's probably not likely without just having a water dump somewhere, just from the perspective of water height. Remember that this is as high as the water gets on this side of the map, and this is like 2 blocks below this height here. And I could have a tunnel that goes all the way down and then comes all the way back up. I just don't know that that is a very good use of the rest of our time here, so it's probably just going to make more sense to put a water dump somewhere. Not the most exciting solution to it, I know, but is what it is. So yeah, I guess we can go ahead and leave it here with the bots just doing bot things while I do our end of episode fun. I really do appreciate you watching these videos, genuinely. If you watched the survey video I put out yesterday, talked a little bit about some of the challenges that I've gone through trying to make sure that I can continue doing mostly daily videos the rest of this year. I've had a very, very, very busy last few months. Problems of my own creation. Well, problems is not the right term, but I've made myself very busy for a lot of very good reasons, and it does create challenges, and I appreciate you guys sticking through all of that, and can appreciate your patience as we navigate new stuff in 2026. But I still want to keep doing these, and I think we can have a lot more fun in the new year if I manage to get a couple things sorted out. So, your support is what makes it possible. Of course, I always say it, but I'm going to keep saying it. Beard Boosters make this channel sustainable without me having to do sponsorships or chase the algorithm or do a new series every 3 videos. Those folks truly, truly make all of this possible, and I'm never, ever going to forget everything that you guys have contributed. And you see the names here. There's like, what, 1,500 names on here? Every single one of those people has contributed so much to this channel, and you too. Even if you're not on that list, just you being here is a huge, huge part of it. So whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you back again soon for more beavers. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.